Did you know we celebrated Black History Month in Canada?
Since the early beginnings of Canadian history, people of African descent have made significant contributions to the development of our great country.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Samantha and I am excited to have you here. A lot of Canadians are unaware of the fact that Black people from African descent, were once enslaved in the territory that is now Canada. In February 2008, Donald Oliver, who was the first Black man to be appointed to the Senate, introduced a motion to recognize the contributions of Black Canadians, and February has Black History Month. His motion was unanimously approved on March 2008, and since then, February is officially Black History Month in Canada. Now bear with me, okay? This is not a history class. I don't know that much about Canada, but I'm so excited to be celebrating Black History Month for the first time in my life. Growing up in Africa, I had no idea what Black History Month was. I didn't even know it existed. And I guess it makes sense because, well, we were surrounded by Black people. There were Black people everywhere. It's just the way we lived, is where we were. If anything, maybe we should have celebrated White History Month. Then I realized that this year I will be eligible to apply for Canadian citizenship. That means that my life is going to be here, my children will be born here, they will be raised here, the children will probably be born here, and I don't know, in 3 or 4 generations from now they will be Afro-Canadians or Black Canadians with African descent. Because of that, it seemed important to me to explain to them what the color of their skin means in Canada, in North America in general, to explain to them the challenges that they will probably face, who was there first, who did what, and how the people that were there before them paved the way for them to do and be anything they want to do, matter if they are in France, in Canada, or back in Cameroon. So maybe, just maybe, I will raise children that will become men and women who understand what Black history means. I need them to be inspired by greatness, and who knows, to be featured in Black History Month 100 years from now. Anyway, on November 19, 2018, yes, it was my birthday, and no, I do not think it was a coincidence, Viola Desmond, who was a businesswoman and a Black civil rights activist, was featured on a Canadian $10 bill, which was amazing. I remember back then I was working at the bank. Black women were just coming and rushing into the bank, and everyone wanted a $10 bill. It was such an exciting time, and I just want to take a moment here and applaud all those who contributed to that decision, because it was such a beautiful way for Canada to recognize Black people and their hand in shaping our country. Look at me saying our country. I don't have that citizenship yet, but I have faith. Now let's learn more about Viola Desmond. Her full name was Viola Irene Desmond. She was born in Nova Scotia on July 6, 1914, and she died in New York, I think on February 7, 1965. She was educated. She was a beautician, a businesswoman, a mentor for young Black women, and she had her own business, the Desmond School of Beauty. So you know she was a boss. Don't play with her. Her story might seem familiar because personally it reminds me of Rosa Parks. In 1946, Desmond went to movie theater. I think it was called Roseland Theater. I need to check that out, in Nova Scotia, and she sat in the white only section. She was dragged out of the theater, arrested, jailed overnight without any legal representation. Viola was actually biracial. Her father was Black. He was born in a middle-class Black family, and her mother was the daughter of a white minister. Intermarriages at that time were rare, and the Black community still accepted her parents. They welcomed them. At the time, there were only a few schools that accepted black applicants. She went in the Field School of Beauty in Montreal. She began a program there and she completed her training in Atlantic City and in New York before opening her studio of beauty culture. So she opened her studio and became a black women entrepreneur and a community leader because she was working with young black women to train them, teach them more about beauty, and to make sure that they will find work. Each year, about 15 young women will graduate from her school. So she was doing really well and she was working to make sure that she will bring the black community up. And it's interesting to me because back then in Canada, there was no law, there was no code that specifically encourage racism, but there was no code either that will prevent people from being racist. I don't know if I make sense, but there was nothing saying that segregation or racism is okay. But at the same time, there was nothing that the people who were segregated could do when they were segregated. In 1943, there was a black officer in the army, I think his name was Bennett, that went into a restaurant. The owner of the restaurant refused to serve him. So he wrote a letter to the Minister of Justice. I'm a black man, I'm wearing my army uniform and still people won't serve me at a restaurant. What are you going to do about it? And the minister replied to him, well, there isn't really a law against him refusing to serve. If he doesn't want to serve you because you're black, then he doesn't want to serve you because you're black. What do you want me to do about it? Back to Viola. On November 8, 1946, Viola Desmond decided to go watch a movie at the Roseland Theater in Nova Scotia. She gets there, she asks to the cashier a ticket to sit on the main floor. He sold her a ticket to sit at the balcony. When she gets into the theater, she realizes it and she goes back to the cashier and says, I requested a ticket to sit on the main floor. And the cashier replies, well, I am not allowed to sell tickets for the main floor to you people. Viola is like, me people? Oh, you mean me people? Because she's stubborn, she's like, you know what? I don't care. I want to sit on the main floor. I'm gonna go ahead and sit on the main floor. She goes back into the theater and sits on the main floor. The manager comes to see her and tells her, you're not supposed to be here. She says, well, I think I am because I wanted to pay for the main floor and I was sold a ticket for the balcony. I can pay the difference. I don't mind. And the manager is like, we don't care that you don't mind. We have the right to refuse admission to objectionable people. I don't even know what that word means. I mean, objectionable people? Anyway, Viola is not having it. She's not leaving, so the manager calls the police. And a police officer came and dragged her out, kicking and screaming. I think she hurt her knee and her hip. She was then transported to the police station and the chief of police arrived hours later with a warrant for her arrest. She spent the night in jail and she later reported that she was scared, she was frightened of course, but she held herself high. She didn't sleep at all night. She sat there just waiting for the morning to come. You know guys, what happened after that was really unfair, and I think the word unfair is actually a euphemism because she was brought to court. She had no legal representation. I don't even think that at any point her rights were read to her. There was no crown lawyer. I don't know how you can prosecute someone without a prosecutor.
Yes, there's some shady shit going down.
The official charge was I don't remember the exact word, but they were charging her because she refused to pay the tax, I think the 1 cent tax that she needed to pay to sit on the main floor, which is stupid because she was ready to pay. It was common knowledge that black people will sit in the balcony. They will just regrouped there, and the main floor was for white people. So like I told you earlier, there was no rule, there was no law, there was no code about segregation or racism, but it was known. After that, she wanted to sue. Yeah, she wanted to sue the government for injuring her hip and her knee, but that didn't go well at all. And I think the saddest part is we don't even know if she ever felt brave, like taking a stand was worth it, because the aftermath was really bitter. After all her issues with the Nova Scotia legal system, her marriage fell apart. Maybe it was due to it, maybe it wasn't related. She abandoned her business. She moved to Montreal and then New York City, where she died. She spent her whole life unpardoned until April 15, 2010, when the Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia granted her free pardon at a ceremony in Halifax. While I was preparing this video, I started thinking about the most racism that I have ever faced. And I couldn't come up with anything, to be honest with you. The only thing that I can think about was maybe a racial stereotypes, but not as much as racism. I remember when I was in Spain, it was 10 p.m. I was outside, I was waiting for someone, and this white man came to me, offered me money to have sex with me. I was surrounded by white girls and he didn't go to them, he came to me. I don't know if every black woman in Europe or in Western countries are prostitutes, but I think that maybe he thought so. I remember feeling so hurt. I felt diminished. I felt like, okay, so I am dressed as they are dressed. I'm standing in the exact same spot, but because of the color of my skin, I must be a prostitute. I cannot even imagine how it must be like to live in an environment where you are constantly reminded that you are worth less than your Caucasian peers just because you have melanin in your blood. We are talking about Black History Month, and I'm not only thinking about the women that, or the men that took a stand 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Just last year, my aunt, who is black, obviously, she lives in Ontario, in Canada, in the suburbs. She has been living there for, I think, more than 10 years now. She has 3 children. And last year, she sent me a picture. She sent me a picture of her garage door, and it was written in 2019. But I live in Canada. I shouldn't be going through this. I should be safe. It's Canada. We're inclusive. Yes, we are, but to what point? We should celebrate those people. The people that choose to respond with love instead of hatred. The people who choose peace instead of violence. And we shouldn't wait for them to die before we celebrate them. We shouldn't wait for them to die before we pardon them. We shouldn't wait for them to lose everything before we remember them. So today I want to celebrate you, black people, black men, black women. I want to celebrate you for your achievements. It's because of you that I can raise my children here without being so scared and so afraid. It's because of you that I'm confident that I can open any door. It's because of you that for 1,000 years to come, we will have black achievements to celebrate on Black History Month. I hope this wasn't too heavy for you. I hope that you were able to digest it. I encourage you to go and read the Canadian Encyclopedia. I put the link down there. Read for yourself everything that you need to know about the amazing Viola Desmond. Don't forget to leave me a comment because I would like to know your thoughts on Black History Month. Subscribe to my channel. You know that we are aiming for 1,000 subscribers. So if you like that video, give it a thumbs up and make sure that you show love by subscribing and sharing the video. Until next time, guys, guard your hearts.